So without further ado, I know we're a bit pushed for time. I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for the evening, Nigel. Nigel was recommended to me by one of the Chutney family who are not with us this evening because they've had to pull out last minute. They had a family emergency. But could I just say, Nigel was introduced to me through the platforms. One of the members introduced him. So if any of you have any potentials that you feel may add value to the other members and may make a good guest speaker, please also let me know. Because this is not all about the pathway to grow, giving to you, we need something back as well. So please, if I'm sure many of you have got massive networks and know many people. I've had one this evening from Shama, thank you very much Shama. And if anybody else knows anybody else who would make a good speaker or you feel may add value, then please let us know. So a massive round of applause please for Nigel. I'll be quiet now, I'll just give it to him.
I'm both Rick.
He really has.
So I'm married. Anyone else here married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unusual today.
Here's what I'd like you to do, if you could just indulge me. Could you all stand up for a moment? Everybody. Married people, single people, please stand up. Now here's what, I don't know if you can see me at the back here, but here's what I'd like you to do. Married people, my wedding anniversary is...
You're in trouble.
What? 7th of July. It's my wedding anniversary. Every year I have to remember this date. So, those of you that are married and have a wedding anniversary that's in the first 6 months of the year, could you stand with your hands like this, about 10 inches apart? Could you just do that? Married people, wedding anniversary, first 6 months of the year. Great. Those of you with a wedding anniversary in the second half of the year, July to December, could you stand with your hands a little further apart, maybe 14, 18 inches apart? Okay?
I like his
Single people. Got any single people here?
Yeah.
All right, single people. Here's what I want you to do. Like this, hands up in the air. Yeah. You got that? All right, now just one moment. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Yes. I hope you can all see that. Hold it. Yeah, that's it. Smiles. Thank you. I promised my wife that if I was going to be late back this evening, I would at least get a standing ovation from you. So now the pressure's off. And I've got to say, as an engineer, I've spoken to a few people here. Public speaking has never been my thing. Never been my thing. That's my routine just for taking the pressure off. If it goes downhill from here, who cares? I've got the evidence that you liked it. So, let me just share with you what's going on here. I'll fill you in a little bit on my background. I've got an executive coaching, sales training, sales mentoring, sales management training business based in Longbridge, Birmingham. So I work a lot with successful business owners who are very good at what they do, and they'll have systems and processes for everything, but maybe no system for sales, or not one that's getting them in front of enough of the right type of on-profile prospects that they need if they're going to grow their business to the next level. Or sometimes they can get in front of them, but then they end up in something that we call the buyer-seller dance. Boy, that's really great. Can you send us a quotation? Oh, can you sharpen up your pencil? What if we order 10 of them? Do you have it in blue? And this thing goes backwards and forwards. At the end of that, some of my clients may actually win the business, but often not at the margins they'd hoped for at the outset. And some of them will comment to me that if they'd have known that, they might not have bothered jumping through all the hoops. Other times, they won't win the business. And they're worried about how much free consultation, free information they have given away during that process. And the third area, I guess, is they're looking to grow their business. They know they need to hire salespeople, but they're worried that that interview they have and the sale that that salesperson makes across the interview table might be the last sale they ever make. Because I think we all know every sales guy has a fantastic CV. They all interview well. But if we're not careful, anyone in this room ever hired a sales guy? Ever had the feeling afterwards that you were sent the cream of the crap by the recruiter? So those are some of the things that I work on. So here's what's going to happen today. And I've got to say this before I go any further. Nothing's for sale. Nothing is for sale. Some of you, if you've checked out my profile, you know some of my clients. My fear is that some of you are right now sitting clutching your wallets. Nothing's for sale. The only thing you can do at the end of this, the only decision you can make, is whether or not you think you and I should have a conversation. Is that fair? Great. So, I'm going to start off with another, and I've got three main things I'm going to cover here. One's going to be a little technical issue, one's going to be a mindset issue, and another one's going to be a little behavioral issue. The other morning, as I was getting ready to head off to work, I noticed my wife sort of faffing, is faffing a word? Faffing around the house. Puffing and blowing, talking under her breath. And so I said to her, what's the matter? And she said, I can't find my car keys. And of course, me being a very responsive, diligent husband, want to have a happy wife. Naturally enough, I said, would you like me to help you look for them? Could you? Oh, that would be great. So I step in and now I'm feeling like Superman. After about 5 minutes of rummaging around the various places in the house, I now start to get a bit anxious. I've got somewhere to be. So, guys, without thinking, what are the words that came out of my mouth at this point? Sorry? Where did you see them last? Response I got from my wife. Okay. So, this little dynamic, and there's no reason why anyone should know about this, but has anyone studied human relations, psychology, transactional analysis? No reason why you should. Anyone understand that? Thank you. Cartman's triangle. Cartman's triangle. So, Cartman says there's a three-pointed triangle. At any point in this triangle, there's three positions you can take. There's the rescuer, there's the victim, and there's the persecutor. So did you see what happened in this transaction? She goes from victim, I go to rescuer, 1.5 moves later, I'm in victim and she's in persecutor. Got that? What the heck does this have to do with sales? What does this have to do with sales? Anyone like to hazard a guess? Sorry? Same three position in sales. Is this just me, or has this ever happened to anyone in the room? It's Friday. You're keen to get home, but you're enthusiastic about your business. You want to do the best for it. The phone rings, 3:30. It's a hot prospect. It's that hot prospect from about 3 weeks ago that's now calling you up and they're in a hurry. Nigel, I got a meeting with my boss. Monday, 10 o'clock. Remember that project we spoke about? Could you just, and watch out for that word, just. That's a terrible word. If you hear that, that should set off alarms. Can you just send me a proposal and quotation and all your suggestions for how we're going to fix this problem? I will run it past the committee 10 o'clock on Monday morning. Absolutely superb if you could do this for me. What does Nigel do? Nigel spends the whole weekend working on this proposal, making sure it's all in the right format, the right font, the right colour. Sort of mind reading a little bit what they might want to see in this thing, what his boss might want to see in this thing, agonising over this whole thing. Completely ruins the weekend. However, Nigel the rescuer gets this thing out to the customer in time for his 10 o'clock meeting. At about 3:30 in the afternoon, Nigel places a phone call. Of course, the guy's busy, doesn't pick up, and he leaves the message. John, just wanted to know how that meeting went. Did you get the proposal okay? Got any questions? You know how to get a hold of me? Look forward to anyone. Bang. Tuesday. I'll leave it till Wednesday. Wednesday. Same message. Did you get the thing? How's everything going? Just want to know. Thursday. Another message. Finally, the following Friday, he picks up. Yeah, hi John. It's like, yeah, Nigel, I'm real busy. I can't talk right now. Bam. Ever happened to anyone else anything similar like that? Cartman's triangle. When we, in our sales world, we call that the buyer-seller dance. So here's the trick. Going back, I'm not going to tell you how to fix this in your business. I'm just going to show you the problem. This happens day in and day out. If we don't have a strategy for fixing this, we waste a lot of time and a lot of weekends working on stuff that goes nowhere. What I should have done with my wife, and by the way, I train this stuff, I teach this, it's a real struggle with my wife. Because there's something in that relationship that's so close, I am reacting versus responding. I am reacting versus responding. So here's the trick. If you feel as though you're just about to go into Cartman's triangle, take a deep breath. That's long enough to just slow down that initial reaction. And now I'm going to respond. Mary, I tell you what, I don't have to be where I need to go for another 10 or 15 minutes. How about I help you look for your keys for 10 minutes? If at the end of the 10 minutes I haven't found it, are you going to be okay making alternative arrangements? You won't feel bad if I shoot down on you at that point. Oh no, Nigel, I'm sure we'll find it in 10 minutes. Great. Does that make sense? So what's your equivalent for those situations in your world to avoid you wasting your time on stuff that's never going to go anywhere? So as a suggestion, why don't we agree at the beginning what's going to happen at the end? That's my first little bit of technique for those of you that want that. Second, I've got to talk about this. USPs. Anyone knows what that stands for? Let me try this one. FAB. Features and benefits. Advanced group. Let me try this one. VAP. Value added proposition. Well done, sir. Well done. Well done. And the final one that, as an engineer, was always my favourite. ROI. Return on investment. Now, remember I told you how uncomfortable I was about public speaking? I've got 2 words right now that's just going to even this thing up a little bit. Audience participation. So, what I'd like you to do in a moment is turn to the person sitting next to you. Not the person that you came with, but the person on the other side. Is that good? Is everyone sitting next to someone they don't really know? Or do we have to shuffle anyone around? We good? All right. So now, here's the softball question for you. Here's the softball question for you. Imagine, I'm going to just pick on someone at random, the young lady over here. What? You started up new in business? Syra. Okay. Syra, thank you. So, Syra, here's the question for you. Imagine I'm a prospect, and I ask you the following question. Syra, you and I haven't done business before. I am doing business with one of your competitors. However, I'm always open-minded to taking a different look at a different supplier. Syra, I've got a question for you. Why should my company do business with your company? Why should I do business with you? Have you got that? Has everyone got that question? What I'd like you to do is turn round to your neighbor, no chit-chat. I want one of you, the tallest one. The tallest one. The tallest one. I want the tallest one to say to the slightly shorter one, why, just to start the conversation off, just say this, no chit-chat. Why should I, we're going to go into the conversation right from that point. Why should I do business with you? Have you got that? And now, the person that's role-playing the salesperson is going to respond. You're only going to have 45 seconds to respond. No chit-chat. So just take 30 seconds just to think. What are the top 2 or 3 things? If you've got a pen and paper, you need to jot it down so you can remember it, but I imagine you've probably got this thing locked and loaded. So if you've got the question, why should my company do business with, why should you do business? Have you got that? Okay, so 45 seconds starting now. Go. Time's up. Now, if we've got time, Mr. Organizer, can we just flip roles? Would you like to do that? Would you like to just flip roles? Do the same thing, but now flip roles. Okay, another 45 seconds. Start. 30 seconds, you know what you're doing. Go. Okay, have we got it? Thank you. Where's the, Thank you. Are we there? Okay, now, next question. Next question coming up. And I might pick on Mark for this one. All right? Here's the next question. This is a good news, bad news question. Mark, what would you like first, the good news or the bad news?
Oh, bad news, yeah.
All right. Bad news is, are you ready for this? Bad news is, you have been fired. Or if it's your own business, you've been bought out. Might be good news, but anyway, you got the point. Now, the good news is this. If you've been fired, you have been rehired by whoever your #1 competitor is in your marketplace. And you are happy. They're paying you more, you've got a nicer car, you've got a bigger desk, you've got a nicer pot plant on it, and you get to leave early and the bathroom breaks are longer. Have you got that? So you're happy. And of course, if it was your own business, you've made a lot of money, they're continuing you on in your business development role, and they're paying you. So you're happy. Have you got that? Now. Oh, that wasn't an offer. So, now, I want you to think about this one, because I'm going to have you do this in a second. You're now working for your #1 competitor. I'm going to ask you the same question. Can you name him? Sorry, I'm bad with names. I was once told the key to being successful in business is that you've got to be really good at remembering people's names. So I went out and bought that book, the memory book, the guy that wrote, what's his name? The guy that wrote that book with that? Sorry, Cyrus. My problem, not yours. So, Cyrus, why should my company do business with you? With your company, why should I do business with you? Have you got that? Now, what are you going to say? Think about it. What are you going to say? Any thoughts? Any thoughts at all? I've got a few blank looks. I've got a few little, a little slightly wry grin over here. What's the wry grin for?
I would say exactly the same what I said previously.
I would say exactly the same thing as I would previously. Now, I don't know this for sure, but first time round, you probably said something about experience, skills, technology, service, understanding the marketplace. We care about our customers. We give wonderful service. Something like that. Some sort of unique feature that you have. Something like that. Now, what you say the second time around might sound slightly different to someone that's in your, but to the punter sitting across the desk, is it fair enough to say that it's going to sound identical to that? Does that make sense? So, gets even worse than this. Imagine, I know a lot of you have very sophisticated products. I'm hoping that, do we have any used photocopier salespeople in the room? Am I saying used photocopier salesperson, right? The used photocopier salesperson. He gets asked this question by the prospect. Does anyone say, frankly, our products are crap, our service is rubbish, and we have no idea what we're doing? Does anyone say that? So the moment we open up our mouth, and we say, we're different because, the moment we say that, that's when we sound just like everyone else. Make sense? So I just would like you, perhaps, to ask yourself the following question. Am I really differentiating myself from the competitor? Am I really differentiating myself from the competitor? Or do I sound like, has anyone watched Charlie Brown, the cartoon? This is going to date me a little bit. The cartoon, Charlie Brown, and what's the name of the dog? Snoopy, thank you. In Charlie Brown with Snoopy, there's a character there that's the teacher. Anyone know what the teacher sounds like? Wah, 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 wah. Does that make sense? Is that how we might be sounding to our prospects? Wah, wah, wah. They heard it all before. Now, there's people in the room that probably want to shoot me. Am I going to tell you this? A lot of my clients pay me a lot of money to work with their sales team. I have never yet been asked by the boss to make their salespeople feel comfortable. So if you're using feature, advantage, benefits, unique selling points to sell, you might want to consider an alternative approach. Now, I'm going to tell you another story here. The other day, I had to do some DIY. Has anyone ever done DIY? I used to do it when I was younger, but here's what happened. We moved house recently, and we had a piece of antique furniture, a really nice corner cabinet, that was going to be a bit tricky to put up on the wall, so I left it on the floor. Right? And it was pretty handy on the floor, because I could put books and magazines on it, and it was a pretty handy, the fact that it should be raised up and this. Anyway, my wife would mention it occasionally, and then she went off to the States to visit her family for 2 whole weeks. She just looked at me as I waved her off at the airport, and she said, "And when I get back, Nigel, I want that corner cabinet off the floor." Was that a hint? Yeah. So I go along to my local B&Q, because now I've got a problem. We moved over from the States, and I don't have anything that works off 240 volts. So I've got to go buy myself a drill. I've also got to be careful where I'm mounting it. One's a masonry wall, and one's a plaster board wall. So I know I'm going to need some different fittings and some different screws. So I go into the power tool department. What's the first thing that this sales guy says as he sees me? Any thoughts? Can I help you? Can I help you? So you might want to jot this one down. You'll see why in a moment. We judge people by their actions. We judge ourselves by our intentions. So when this guy says to me, "Can I help you?" what alarm bell goes off in my head? This is a sales guy trying to sell me something. So I then proceed to have a conversation with the sales guy. And of course, the sales guy, I tell him, "Look, I need to drill a wall." Fine. So you come to the right place. We've got rechargeable drills. We've got one's corded drills, cordless, 12 volts, 18 volts, 24 volts. We've got drill sizes up to this, speeds up to this RPM, etc., etc. And I'm an engineer, so I'm sort of lapping it up. But then that whole experience, I haven't bought a drill in a while. Am I crystal clear on what I want? Or am I a little confused? What should the sales guy have spoken to me about?
What do you need it for?
What do I need it for? What's my problem? So think about this, and I think this is a good answer. Good answer is, why do you want a drill? What are you trying to do? And now, a lot of you, I think, have an understanding that a better conversation to have is not about the drill, but about what? The whole. Does that make sense? What are you trying to do? Blah, 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 blah. And I think coming from an engineering background, I've noticed this common with a lot of, anyone have a fairly technical product line? Might we spend a lot of time talking about the what? What are you trying to do? I want you just to imagine a mythical conversation where this sales guy, instead of asking me about the what, asked me about the why. Why do you want to have a drill? What might I have said? Do you think I might have said initially, because I need to get this damn corner cabinet up off the floor? No. Next question. Why? This thing's been sitting on the floor for 18 weeks. My wife gets back tomorrow. I'm a last minute kind of guy. My wife gets back tomorrow. If I don't have this thing up on the wall, I am dead. I've lost all her respect. Does that make sense? There's a huge difference between an intellectual reason to buy something and an emotional reason. What do you think my chances are after that conversation that my wallet opens up? Does that make sense? There's something you might want to jot down. What people buy is not what we sell. What people buy is not what we sell. For example, website designer guy, back of the room. Website guy? Website guy. Why might people want to buy a website? Can you yell? Online directory, blah, blah, blah. Okay, why might someone want an online directory? Let me ask you the question slightly different. What problem might they have in absence of your product or service? Sorry? Finding me. In absence of not having people find him, what might be going on personally? How about this? Just as a thought. How about talking about the possible frustrations someone might have in absence of your product or service? Mr. Prospect, I work with a lot of people that have tremendous websites, they spend a lot of money on them and they're very good. However, they're frustrated because that website is not producing them enough of the right quality leads. Sometimes they might be having a lot of leads in and it's like finding a needle in a haystack, and that's costing them money. Other times, they're just frankly not hitting the target market that they need to if they want to get the business to the next level. And they're worried that if things carry on this way, they will not be able to refill their pension plan that they dipped into to start this damn business off in the first place. Mr. Prospect, any of those ringing bells for you? What's the conversation we're going to get into then? Do you think that might be more of a why conversation? Have we differentiated ourselves? So, not right now, but what you might want to do when you leave here, take all those features, advantages, benefits, and convert them into, first of all, a business reason why they might want to do business with you, and a personal, emotional reason for them being compelled to do business with you. Does that make sense? Number one reason why people don't buy from salespeople, consultants especially, but I would suggest pretty much any salesperson. According to the surveys, 82% of people asked say that they don't feel as though the salesperson really understood them. If you're doing features, advantage, benefits, what are you doing to show you understand them? And you might want to jot this one down too. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. Have you got that? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Asking the why question will help you be that person that they feel as though, wow, they really understand me here. This is not about a website with bells and whistles. This is about me refilling my pension so I can send my kids to college or whatever it is. Got that? So that's third thing. How long do I have time-wise? Sorry? 5 minutes, thank you. So, here's what I'd like you to do now. Biggest barrier that I found for me personally in my business was nothing technical whatsoever. It was fear. Fear of stepping outside my comfort zone. Fear of doing something different. What if you were to ask yourself, what would I do if I had no fear? What would I do if I had no fear? Has anyone in this room got an answer to this? And I'll share this with you, a wonderful story. A client of mine, She runs a bicycle shop, a very modest business. She used to work for an IT company when she was a client of mine, multi-million-pound outfit. She retires for that and has the nerve to set up a bicycle shop. Quite a gutsy move. Then she settles down into her little comfort zone. Then she called me one day and she said, Nigel, I was thinking about that question you asked me 3 years ago. I've got a new answer for it because I've got this new bicycle shop. And here's the answer I came up with. She's in Malta. The answer she came up with, what if I could talk to Morgan Motor Car Company and offer to build them a bicycle that was branded with Morgan? She got the idea because a lot of, have you seen those, like Land Rover has a bicycle, BMW has a bicycle, and she's thinking Morgan should have a bicycle. So she picks up the phone to speak to Charles Morgan. Charles Morgan at that time has been kicked out by others, but he ran the company. Now, is that quite a gutsy move for a young lady that runs a bicycle shop? Could she have done that because she'd have had fear? Maybe she could have done it anyway with a nudge. Because what she did was, after a couple too many beers, she told all her friends that that was what she was going to do, trapping herself into it. If you and this is another great reason to have a mentor or a mentee or a peer group. Come up with something outrageous when you're feeling tough and announce it to the people that you know care about you and your success. Tell them you're going to do it. So here's what happened. She failed at the first hurdle. She couldn't get past the gatekeeper to Charles Morgan, but it had sowed that seed. And about 4 days later, into the bicycle shop came this guy with a broken kid's bike. Yeah, my bike's broken, my son's bike's broken, can you repair it? Blah, blah, blah. She's, yeah, name a Charles Morgan. And she's like, and she said, Nigel, I had, on the form, I just really want their email address so I can email them when the bike's in, but I had the presence of mind just to say to him very casually, and this takes 3 seconds of guts, oh, and what's your mobile phone number? Does that make sense? What's your mobile phone number? Having done that little gutsy step, the next one was a lot easier. She calls Charles Morgan, gets him on the phone, talks about the bike's ready, it's in. By the way, can I pick your brains a bit? I've got a little bit of an idea, not sure if it's going to work. When you stop into the shop, could I have 20 minutes with you? I'd like to run something by you. Upshot is, she builds branded Morgan bikes from a humble little bicycle shop. For me, that was a huge, very gutsy move from a young lady running a humble bicycle shop. So my question to you is, I won't have you share this with a neighbour in the interest of time, but what would you do if you had no fear? What would you do? And here's the hint. No one ever died from making a cold call. Now, let me just wrap this up. Did some of you bring business cards with you? Yeah. Here's what I'd like you to do on the back of your card. Remember, I'm married. I'd like you to write MRS on the back of the business card. Right? This is my wife. MRS. Right? Write MRS on the back of a business card. Now, circle the letter M if I've said something and you think you want to have a meeting with me. Circle the letter M. Have you got that? Circle the letter R. You don't want to meet with me, but you might know someone who might want to. Circle the letter R for referral. S. Circle the letter S if you're part of an organization and you think I might be able to do a talk on a relevant topic for your group. S. Have you got that? Now, in the interest of time, what I'd like you to do is, Abid, can you collect up the cards? And what I've got for you here, Abid knows you a little bit better than I do, so I've got a series of books. One of them's called Selling Technology. Anyone sell technology? IT, software services. Okay, great. So this one might be for you if you're lucky enough to win in the draw. Written by a good colleague of mine, Rich Torello. I'm too lazy to write books, so I offer to write his forward. It's a good approach for anyone that wants to write a book but can't get round to it. Find someone who's writing one and offer to write the foreword. I've got about 11 forewords. I don't know about the book, but the foreword's great. Another one, why salespeople fail. Another one, this is mine, lead when you dance, tips for sales managers. And another one here, you can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar, all about the buyer seller dance. So if you want to pass your cards to Abid, we'll draw them out and he'll get you those things. Now, last step, as a reminder. The foundations of there are certain key foundations to your business. The first thing is, how good are you at differentiating yourself from the competitors? Next one. How gutsy are you? How gutsy are you at doing the things that you know you should do, but are fearful of them, but you manage to do them anyway? Guts. And finally, how good are you interpersonally at having a real impact with a prospect instead of being a what? Thank you very much.